And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, I'm Tom Vasel, and one of the things I really like about living in Florida is that we can go to Cape Canaveral. And if you've ever been there, maybe you are dead inside, but if you go there, it is just awe-inspiring to see the spot where men went to the moon from and where we launched the space shuttles, and you can see replicas of the rockets and then real things there, and it is cool. I love space. As a kid, I missed the moon landing by several years, but I was able to see many different launches in my lifetime, and I still find that to be a fascinating thing. And when I saw that there was this game that came out, Apollo, a game inspired by NASA moon missions, I was like, oh please, oh please, oh please be good. Because I assumed it would not be. You know, it looks like the kind of official game here. Like, all right, well, it's going to be some roll and move game. But it's actually designed by people who make good board games, so there was hope. This is a cooperative board game, 2 to 5 players, where one player is going to play mission control. Everyone else is working together as the astronauts on the mission to accomplish them. You're going to be doing a Gemini mission, which is kind of a training mission of sorts, and then the Apollo moon landing. Here's a little bit of how it works. There's a lot going on in the game, and so it's all happening simultaneously. So I'm just going to give you some general ideas so you see what's going on. One person's going to be mission control. They have this big shield here, and they're going to keep track of different systems on the flight. We have flight control, life support, experiments, power distribution, and communications. They're all going to start at the top, but as the game goes by, they may drop down. And when they get to here, there's going to be crisis cards, which you'll be picking a random one at the beginning of the game. So I'll have one, like there's multiple power distributions, but only one of them will be there. You'll flip it up and a systems failure and something will happen that's bad to everyone involved. The mission control person is in charge of watching these systems, and they are working together with everybody else. However, you cannot communicate with people unless you spend a comm token, and you're only going to have so many of these tokens. And then there's very specific pieces of information you can give people. Now, of course, if your communications goes into crisis, then you're going to flip this up to show them that comms are down and you can't communicate with them at all. And then you have these lights to show when other systems are going down. You can tell them a system is down, but you can't tell them what the system is unless, again, you spend one of your comm tokens. Players can either play the Gemini mission or, as you can see, the much bigger Apollo mission. And each of these missions, you're going to have a mission pack. And then inside this mission pack, so let's open up the Gemini one here. Inside the mission pack are going to be different things that you need to accomplish. So there's going to be different stages here. And so stage 1, you flip it over to start the mission. And then stage 2, you're going to need to put 4 dice here that are the same number. Then for the next stage, these dice are greater than each other, and so on. So you finish all the different stages. However, players are also going to have to complete an experiment. Only mission control knows what the experiment is. This card is going to be placed in front of them. And for example here, I need 3 black 2s. Here, 3 yellow 3s. Here, 4 black 5s. And the mission control knows what this is, but when you communicate, you can only give out one piece of information. So I might use a comm token and say, the experiment dice I need are black, or the experiment dice I need are 5s, or I need 4 experiment dice. And in fact, mission control, depending on where they are on the experiment track, you can even adjust the dice that are given. But it is tricky, and players are going to have to work together. Each round of the game, players are going to be moving their spaceship along this track, basically for every action that you take. And you need to have a stage done by the time you get to that on the track, or you will fail. Players are going to be rolling dice equal to the life support. So at the beginning, you'll start with all the dice. And as you roll these dice, you're going to be placing them on the numbers that are rolled. So here I can put the 2 there, the 3s. I rolled 3 4s, so they go here. I also rolled 3 5s. and then I rolled 3 6s, and they go at the bottom. And then players are going to be able to place the 6s anywhere they want. Each empty spot here, that system's going to take a damage. So right now, flight control is going to take 3 damage. So maybe I'll put 2 of these in flight control and 1 in power distribution, which means flight, power distribution, and life support all take 1 damage. And you can see, as life support takes damage, the number of dice that players have are going to be much farther down. When flight control takes damage, at a certain point you can't complete the flight stage cards if it's here until it's fixed. Here, the experiments, you can adjust dice, but once it's out, you can't. When you get down into this area, the comms are down. And here, power distribution, which allows the mission control to maybe make this one go down 1 to make something else go up 1, you get to do that less. Players will then be taking actions, spending the dice from here and putting them on different spots. They can put them on power distribution, letting mission control move that around. Life support, which gives you tokens, which you will be able to use to add or subtract to your dice. Experiments, hopefully you're putting the right dice there. Flight control, where you're going to put the dice to complete the flight cards. Over here, communications, to give the flight control more communication tokens, which will allow them to communicate. And also, some of the comm tokens have special things that the flight control can do to fix things. And then repair. You can spend a certain amount of dice in different ways to repair the systems that are down. And that's basically it. That sounds like a lot going on. But players are working back and forth. You have tokens that you can put on spots to show that systems are down. Flight control has these funky things that they need to fix sometimes. You're going to need to put down tiles and roll as fast as you can to fix a system when it goes down, and nothing can happen until you finish that. So that's in the game. And there's just a lot of things going on at the same time, and players are going to lose if they can't complete a stage in time before they get to that section. But they'll win if they complete all the stages of each mission. The game comes with a poster. Humanity's return to the moon, this time to stay. I really like this poster. Everything fits in a plastic insert in the box, and the components for this are really cool. I really like this big giant shield, although I did knock it over a few times. It looks really cool, you know, with the different buttons on it, and I love these little plastic alert things that you stick up and the comms down. It gives you the information. We couldn't figure out what the slot's for. That's where I would stick the communications tokens. I'd put them through there, and of course that made the board fall over a lot. The dice are good quality, these little tokens that you put on the thing, and then even the fact that these come in these food bags there, it's just really neat. It's a really good production. I was really impressed overall with how this game looks and feels. It has this very authentic vibe to it. Just really good components. Let's get it out of the way right away. Good game, for sure. I am so happy. I am so happy that people are going to go and get this and find something cool. But it's more than that, I think. This is so unique and different and refreshing. It's extremely thematic. Like I said, if you're a fan of the Apollo moon landing and all, this is right up your alley. Yes, it's abstracted out, dice rolling and things like that, but there's so many things that from the components to the communication back and forth to just the flow of the game and accomplishing these experiments and things, there's a really cool vibe to the game. The Gemini mission is definitely a training mission, right? If you lose it, you better play it over again. It's not that hard. But it's a nice way to learn the mechanisms of the game. The Apollo one is much more difficult. It's beatable. I have beaten it. But there's definitely a lot going on, a lot more going on, and a misstep here, a misstep there. Systems start going down, and this is definitely a game of dominoes where when things go bad, they can get worse. And this game is unique in that it's a cooperative game, but one person's almost like a game master. The flight controller, mission control, they move the pawn. They're the ones communicating with people. They're watching the systems. And they have one certain kind of stress in that regard. Also, if a system goes down, building those pieces, you're rolling dice and building those pieces, and everyone's sitting there going, you know, we can't do anything else because, if I haven't mentioned, every turn is timed. Now, that time is not usually a big deal. Usually everybody has plenty of time on your turn to make the decisions on how long the game goes by before you run out of time. But when the systems start going down and mission control has to waste a lot of your time by fixing these systems, that time comes into play in a much bigger way. And so I like that. I personally like playing the mission control. To me, it's fun to kind of oversee it. And this brings up a couple of points. One, the game plays 2 to 5 players. I feel like I would not want to play it with more than 3 very often. 2 works, 3 works. Once you have 4, there's 3 people making decisions, and yes, you're supposed to go in order. Okay, now you pick what system you're going to fix. You do this. It actually makes the game a little harder because you're slowing things down, but it's also, you have to kind of sit 3 people on one side of the table and 1 person on the other side. I found it's an excellent 3-player game for that reason, because 2 people are working together and 1 person's kind of modulating everything that goes on. I'm also not convinced that there's going to be a ton of replayability. I mean, there's replayability. Don't get me wrong, you play it over and over again. There's going to be different experiments and different ways that the system's going to go down per mission. But the mission and the things you need to do are going to be the same each time. Yes, you roll the dice and different systems are going to go down. So it's not like the game's not replayable. It definitely is. But you're going to be doing the same thing each time you are landing on the moon and going on. I don't think that's a big deal. But for people who want their games to be radically different, that's not how this one works at all. The limited communication thing is great. It really spells out what Mission Command can say and do, and you have to sit there and go, do I spend a token? Like, I could tell people exactly what I need for the experiment, but that costs 3 tokens. I don't have that many tokens. Of course, you can work and say, let's give the Mission Command more tokens so they can give us more information. And I did find at certain points that I wasn't able to help the people out because I was running low on comm tokens, and I didn't feel like using that. And in fact, it's even worse when everything goes down. You know, when the communication system goes down, it doesn't matter how many tokens you have at all. That part is so thematic and so interesting. And this is the kind of game that I am thrilled, again, that people will walk by and they'll go, I like space, because it is a very popular subject. They'll get this, they'll play it, and they'll have a great time. So this is just, it's a neat thing. This is from Buffalo Games, who's not known for making games like this. This felt like almost a Funko game or a Prospero Hall game that's in that category. And I love this. We live in an era, the golden age of board games, folks, where games are being made now that look like a game that any person can buy, but when you open it up inside, you don't have to hold your nose to play the game. This is an excellently done game. So if you like the space missions at all, if you're a fan of that, you definitely want to do this. If you like cooperative games, especially with some interesting communication, limited communication, dice placement, it's just really well designed. I'm very happy about this one. Check it out. That's the Apollo, a game inspired by the NASA moon missions. I'm Tom Vasel. We'll see you next time. Dice Tower Judgment approved!